Yeah, that'll get your attention. Show started. Round of applause for Casey Long. Outstanding. Can you see my stack of books? We have a featured book. We have a couple of featured books this week, but all these books here, this isn't even all of them. I couldn't find a couple. But these are all books that are produced locally. These are people that are written locally or, well, yeah, all by local authors. This one here's interesting to me. This is a book written in the 60s by a former reporter from the newspaper named Leonard Sanders. A person bought this for me and gave it to me. A friend of mine said, "You need to read this book." And I'm like, well, I don't read a lot. But I read it anyway. And the book, it was published in the 60s, written by a reporter that worked for one of the two papers, either the morning or the afternoon paper. And he was a disenchanted, frustrated journalist who was sick and tired of the way the local paper wasn't taking care of business. So he quit the paper to start a weekly newspaper and found himself caught up in shenanigans, you know, the city council and crooked real estate developers. And it's based on something that actually happened. And the Wooden Horseshoe is the title of the book. It refers to the city council chambers as they, I guess, used to be constructed. They were sort of in a horseshoe shape. And if you know anything about my personal biography, I worked for the Daily Paper for several years and got kind of frustrated. Well, I didn't consider myself a pure journalist, but I didn't quit and started a weekly newspaper. And reading, you know, a couple of years into that experience was a little like I wanted to jump to the end to see how things were going to work out for me. Like, oh no, I died young and poor. Well, shit. So this is a great book. We featured it last week, but due to a technological glitch, we didn't get it on video. So I'm sort of making another lap around this one. A good friend of mine named Antoine Simmons. He's a poet, and believe me, if you're a poet in Wichita Falls, you've already chosen, you have not chosen the easiest path. And he has embraced this difficult path. This is his third book. Antoine Simmons is the hardest working man in poetry. And this book is called The Mustard Seed. It's available at Hastings in Wichita Falls and Lawton. It's really a fascinating book. It's got poetry, it's got essays, it's got prose, just sort of, you know, some thoughts that he shares. It's a really, he covers a lot of ground, a lot of philosophical ground, and not a lot of pages. It's a really easy read. And he really deserves your support. For 12 bucks, you ought to run down to Hastings and support this guy. Antoine Simmons, The Mustard Seed. You ought to check it out. All right, so 50 things I don't care about. 50 things, and I cut it down to about 24. What your baby did today. Your boyfriend's band. What's under the hood of your car? The fact that at first you thought your shirt was black, but when you put it on with your skirt, you realized it was navy. I got bored in the middle of reading that. Things I don't care about. Why Greek yogurt is better than regular. I don't even know what Greek yogurt is. How much you can bench. Etsy. I don't even know what Etsy is, but I don't care. Things I don't care about. That it's actually faster to drive home another way. That person that's in your car. You know, if you'd have just gone, yeah. And this is a shout out to Devin Giddens, a friend of mine. Libertarians. Libertarians are boring because they don't pick a side.
Nope.
They don't. You got to pick a side, people. You can't just say, both sides suck. I want to invent a side that doesn't exist. I'm gonna invent on the. I'm gonna back the rim of the coin, not either side of it. Things I don't care about: award shows, Instagram, comic book movies, right there with you. Yeah. So, but here were the ones where I was like, hey, these are on the list. But I was like, I like what? Hey, the weather. I like talking about the weather in excruciating detail. It's important to me. I know a lot about the weather, but I won't share it with you. Math was on the list. What the hell? Math. You're yawning. Grammar.
Oh.
This is when I see both sides of it. What I didn't care about was what anyone got on the ACTs after you're 18 years old. Okay, I talk about my ACT score all the time. I know it's shitty.
What did you make?
Not my score. It was awesome. But I'm 47 and I should really stop talking about it. So, there's that. So, what that led to was something. So, not an hour before showtime, I put a shout out on Facebook. Hey ladies, what is it that your boyfriend does, or your husband, that is just bores you so much it just drives you crazy? Because there's still stuff rolling in. What bores me about my husband/boyfriend is when he plays video games. Okay. When he talks about drum stuff on Craigslist. Oh man, that's gotta be boring. I'm sorry. If you're shopping on Craigslist right away, boring. When he complains about one specific coworker day after day, calls me to vent over every little thing he does, it's so boring hearing about his dislike of this person, and he rehashes it over and over. I pretend to listen, but after so long with an occasional I bet or I know. When he complains about the same thing and or person, this is a new person, new entry. When he complains about the same thing and or person over and over and over, and watching swamp people all the time. So let the dog piling begin. He's boring, and it's swamp people, and all the other hick shows on TV that he watches over and over and over. Another, when he complains repeatedly and excessively and wants my opinion on what he should do about some medical thing. Back pain, a rash on his leg, a bug bite that must be from a black widow, and will likely result in a sudden painful death, etc. And yet when I say, did you make a doctor appointment? He suddenly mans up and says, nah, I'll be fine. Here's another one. I love cars, this is the girl. I love cars and racing and stuff like that, but I hate it when he talks about his clothes. I love clothes. My clothes, not yours. Be a man and talk about man stuff. I will talk about the girl stuff. When he describes his insane driving by saying, I'm not a defensive driver, I'm an offensive driver. You're offensive, all right. I'm pretty sure people don't expect you to be coming up on their ass at 85. When he drones for hours about stupid pilot stuff now that he's got his license. So boring. Next person, sports. I got it. You guys really like sports. You don't need to tell us. We know you like it. And just because you take out the trash, again, the dog piling, I get this like frenzy of typing. And just because you take out the trash, you do not get an award for it or need to be thanked for picking up your own dirty socks. Next one. Oh, I love hearing my boyfriend and his friends talk about how amazing they were at football in high school. They won state, so they were obviously pretty badass, but every single time we pull out the whiskey, I have to hear about when they played so-and-so and beat them by this much and all the small-town perks they got from it. Gag. Hate to break it to you, sweetheart, but it was 10 years ago. Oh, and that's what I'm thinking. Oh, girlfriend, you are in for a long haul. You've already scratched the surface of those glory days. When he goes on and on about anything and everything Star Trek related, and being asked countless times which superpower I'd rather have if I could only pick one. You'd think since mine is always the ability to mute one of my boyfriends You'd think he'd pick up on this. I got text messages too. It was a multimedia onslaught. I'm not kidding. Okay, be really careful. I don't want to. Okay, this is about her ex. My husband liked to smoke pot while taking a dump. Now, I will say that a lot of this kind of just kind of morphed into a bitch session, but it's a fine line. You know, today's boring is tomorrow's, you know, domestic violence. Also, and he held his fork like a girl with his pinky in the air. He was also obsessed with real estate, although he never owned any. Just scrolling here. She was, oh, I needed someone to ask you this question for a very long time. Thank you so much. There's more. I also suspect that he hired a transvestite to come to our home and model my underwear.
That might be a reason they're in eggs.
Okay, so you never know. And so, and our last entry that came over the Facebook transom, the endless drone about he may or may not be constructing something. Well, I quote, well, I could put a U-joint there and have the mastrolator turn with the Fargelmus, but that might decrease the output and I can't find the Opufunk in the garage. Then again, I could use a Haber screw, but the hardware store is out of them, and the last time I tried that, the marble phage went out on it, and it didn't work right, close quote. Steve was just making up words for all the hardware sounds that he says. I messaged you, she sent this privately, she didn't want it on her wall, or on my wall. I'm messaging you about this because I really do love that he can fix things and make things, and I don't want to hurt his feelings. I just try to keep from slipping into a coma while he plans it out. Which brings us to Candace's list. But here's her list. So I went to her and said, hey, you know, there's this 50 things. And before I even get done, she goes, first of all, don't do, I said 20 things. I said, how about 20 things? First of all, don't do 20 things because nobody cares about that already. So right away. I was boring before I even had a chance to be boring. And it wasn't even my list. But no one wants to do that. 20's too much. So, this is her list. Football, baseball, basketball, Texas Longhorn football, Texas Longhorn baseball, and it kind of went on like that for a little bit. Song lyrics. Your favorite song lyrics. Your analysis of song lyrics. Your political rants. Your workouts. Your talk show. Your karaoke. Your books. Your hair. Your ear hair. I do obsess a bit about it. Gentlemen, you got to keep that shit groomed.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah. And eyebrows. And not necessarily tell everyone about it, just do it.
This is her talking to me. Your yard work and housekeeping accomplishments. Your words with friends conquest. How all you have are vowels in words with friends. Your theories about aliens. Your theories about politics. Your theories about your mom. Your theories about public education. Your theories about what's wrong with our car. Your theories about the future of fill in the fucking blank. Your bathroom habits. Talking about your bathroom habits. 23 years of talking about your bathroom habits. What kind of narcissist actually believes that every crap he's taken over a quarter century is unique and special? Alright, so that's our little funny bit there. I'm sorry?
I said I added one.
What did you add?
My ex-husband said, let's talk about starting a militia.
Oh, shit! Your ex-husband's talk about starting a militia, which, on its face, is not a boring thing.
That was the aha moment. That was the moment where I said, yeah, I'm done.
That's a scary thing, but he did it so much it became boring.
He named it.
Wow.